Liberal leader Mark Carney, meantime, is facing pressure to get rid of a Liberal Party candidate in Ontario after that Liberal MP, a man named Paul Chiang, said a Conservative candidate should be turned over to the Chinese government. Today, Carney said he is sticking by Chiang.
This is a person of integrity who's served this community, his community, as a senior police officer for, as I said, more than a quarter century. He's made a terrible lapse in judgment. He's made an apology for that. It's also an individual who has family in Hong Kong. He's under no illusions about the situation there, the situation in broader China. He's made those apologies. He's made them directly to the individual concerned. He's made them directly to me. He has my confidence.
A little bit of background. Paul Chiang, seen here, is running as a Liberal incumbent in the riding of Markham Unionville. That's just north of Toronto. In an interview back in January, the former police officer urged people to bring his Conservative rival, a man named Joe Tay, to the Chinese consulate to collect a $1 million bounty. Joe Tay is a staunch critic of Communist China. Chiang has apologized for his comment. Mark Carney says the Liberals have carefully vetted all of their candidates for any sort of issues involving foreign interference. All right, let's bring in CTV's Colton Praill, standing by in the Capitol as we have a month left in this election. Let's start with that candidate, Paul Chiang, and what else we're hearing on this, Colton, and the issue that it brings for Mark Carney.
Yeah, certainly the issue that he's going to see is that this is something that will continue to dog him even after this apology has been made. You saw the way he was questioned about it repeatedly in his press conference this morning. The opposition, both the Conservatives and the NDP, have been incredibly critical of the fact that the Liberals are choosing to keep this candidate on. They're bringing forward their own MPs who have been victims of foreign interference. You saw Jenny Kwan speaking about it. Michael Chong has also spoke about it as well. He released a statement earlier. I mean, this is a situation where there is a larger question for the Liberal Party, which goes beyond the apology, and you heard it being posed to Mark Carney today that he didn't really answer in earnest, which is about the trust and the faith that the community has in their MP to be able to represent them. It's important to note that the riding that Paul Chiang is running in, Markham Unionville, does have a very large Chinese diaspora. It has a very large Hong Konger diaspora as well. And so there is a certain amount of that population who is going to be wondering whether their MP represents them personally, or at least that's what I was told yesterday by Hong Kong democracy advocates who were saying that the concern in the community goes beyond this being a joke or a jest or an aside to whether or not the issue of foreign interference is being taken seriously, to what it says for community members who maybe don't have the same platform as someone like Joe Tay and their safety. This is the larger challenge for the Liberals and for Mark Carney, and the longer this candidate stays on that ballot sheet, I think it's going to be a question that is continued to be posed to them, especially given how crucial the issue of foreign interference has been for both major parties, for all major parties, but especially the Conservatives and the Liberals in the lead up to this election. There were so many questions around Justin Trudeau's handling of the issue of foreign interference. There are questions around Pierre Poilievre's lack of security clearance and how, whether he's tackling the issue of foreign interference seriously enough. This opens them up to attacks and to valid questions that don't necessarily need to be asked if the party had decided to move away from the candidate.
Hey, and what about the Conservatives and those polling numbers, which are not great, and concerns within the party that maybe they need to rethink their strategy? Certainly no indication today, anyway, from leader Pierre Poilievre that they plan to do that.
No, and that lines up with so much of the reporting that we've been seeing, that there is a desire to stick at the very top level of the Conservative Party, while there is an outside pressure to twist. And yesterday, our colleague Kamal Karamali had a fantastic interview with Sue McFadden, a Conservative, first-time Conservative candidate, former city councillor in Mississauga. And she came out and said she would like to see her party speak more about the Trump tariff issue. And I think that is a very significant acknowledgement, because it is moving beyond the infighting we've seen in headquarters to now an open, on-camera admission from Conservative candidates that perhaps they are not doing their best to discuss the issues that matter most to Canadians. That is a very significant shift, a very significant tell, and it speaks to the not the discontent, but the disjunction, the breaks inside the conservative camp right now when it comes to what is the biggest issue they have to focus on. That's not to say that this can't change. Affordability issues are right there with Donald Trump when it comes to the two biggest issues on voters' minds. The challenge that the conservatives are going to run into if they continue to focus primarily on affordability rather than tariffs and Trump is that Trump is going to be what dominates the headlines, what dominates the news cycle. You know, Wednesday is his reciprocal tariff day. Thursday, the auto tariffs come into effect. That is basically another week where we are focused as media and as Canadians on the impact of these tariffs. And the person who gets to respond to them is the Liberal leader, because he is also the Prime Minister and he's going to do those duties. And that's going to give him more time in the headlines. It's going to command attention from Canadians. And in a 5-week-long campaign, you can't leave two of them to an issue that you are losing your opponents on. It puts them in a very difficult position.
Colton Praill in Ottawa. We'll check in again, Colton.